Good afternoon, Atlanta. Welcome to Veterans Today. You watching and listening to us on WCEG Network, WCEG Network, WCEG Talk Radio. We are the Worldwide Community Empowerment Group. Where we speak live in the community. I am Herman Anderson. My co-host is Anthony Aiken. Today, our guest is Judith Cotten. And after I finish this introduction and pre-requirements for our program today, we'll go through introductions and all of that. You can follow us on Facebook. We live stream on Twitter. We're on YouTube, and we are WCEG Network is a nonprofit. And the topics and the opinion are those of the show hosts and the guests, not WCEG Network. Our office number is 404-490-8646. Again, 404-490-8646. And as I said, you can listen to us and watch us on WCEG Network. We're live stream, we're on Facebook, and we're on YouTube. I'm Herman Anderson, and Mr. Aiken, how are you today?
Herman, I'm doing absolutely tremendous. It's good to see you again, and to be able to have a show today with, I consider, an outstanding guest that will bring us quite a bit of perspectives. I'm not putting any weight on her. I know she's good at what she does. And we just want to make sure that our listeners know that we always provide truth to the community. We're always going to do our research and provide the best person possible to answer questions for our listeners worldwide. So again, before we get into it, we couldn't do it without Ms. Rogers, our leader, and Ms. Greer, our engineer. We want to greet them also and to let Ms. Cotten know we're about to really have a great show today. So Herman, good seeing you, my friend.
Good seeing you. And as we move forward and get into the conversation, I'm going to ask Ms. Cotten I'm going to read some information about Ms. Cotten and her organization, and then we will get started. Ms. Cotten is with the National Association of Black Military Women. And a brief history of the organization. The National Association of Black Military Women is an association of women located throughout the country who are veterans or current members of the United States Armed Forces. It was founded under the former name of the Black WACC, Women in Service. Black military women existed or served during the American Revolution, World War I, World War II, Korean Wars. There was no media documents displaying nothing in the history book. Black military women were not shown in war movies. Some members of National Association of Black Women are women who were deployed overseas. In our mission statement to seek out and record and maintain the history and heritage of African American military women and serve in the United States. Our motto is to tell the story. So with that, will you give us your bio, Ms. Cotten, and we will get started. Just a brief who you are and what you're doing today.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Well, I am Judith Cotten, and I am the current president for the Atlanta Metro chapter of the National Association of Black Military Women. I retired from the Army in 2001. I was in the JAG Corps, and I chose entrepreneurship upon retiring. So I do real estate, insurance, and several other things. But my main thing as a life coach is to empower women. That's what I like to do, empower women. And that's why I like this organization that I'm in, the National Association of Black Military Women, because that's what we're about, empowering women and to tell our story, our history.
Thank you very much. And we are ready to start our conversation. Anthony, would you like to get started?
Not a problem, my brother. Ms. Cotten and I had the opportunity to have some dialogue prior to our show today. And the key things that we wanted to have with her is a conversation and relationship of how women are worked with or dealt with in the military and what some of the issues facing women after retirement. So I would like to start out with how are women, from your perspective, providing you information about their terms or tours in the military? Are they treated equally, fairly? Or there's something that we need to make sure is elevated to higher command?
Well, I will say that things has gotten a lot better since I retired. And like I said, it's been over 21 years now since I retired. However, sexism still plays an important role in the military. Women are often deprived of their benefits, of course, and the treatment that they get from their male counterparts sometimes is belittling them. And if you're not a strong woman, you can be taken down. And therefore, you get into depression. That's how PTSD gets into play. I mean, but it's getting better now, I would say, from what I could see. But when I was in, sexism was really, really bad, running rampant in the military.
Well, a reason I asked that because just recently, about less than a year, I was approached by a female veteran who was sexually harassed in the military 25 years ago. And you mentioned PTSD. For 25 years, it was a stressor on her. She didn't know where to go and how to proceed, but she heard about our show. And she called me, and I was able to give her some directions to a counselor who happened to be a veteran service officer, a female, who kind of specialized in female issues, sexual harassment, sexual abuse, homelessness, etc. And to make a long story short, she called me 2 weeks ago and said, as a result of that direction, she was able to get 70% compensation with a number of years of back pay. So the bottom line is perseverance. Women need to know that they should not quit, irregardless of the scenario. There's someone to help. And hopefully through dialogue with you today and working with some veteran service organizations, women that be empowered to do such things.
Right. Consistency is definitely the key to success. So you have to be persistent, like you said. You have to know where to go. So you have to find those organizations that provides you with the resources to tell you where to go to. And that's what the NABMW is about. We have resources, because most of us has been through it. So we know where to tell you to go, like you said, to counseling, and just keep going to counseling. And they more than likely diagnose you with PTSD.
Correct.
At the end of the day.
Speaking of organizations and basically networking and working together and collaborating across organizations, because I have an organization but we also have the Big Six, the American Legion, the VFW, DAV, and all of those organizations. And in a lot of those organizations, military females are not represented in those organizations. And whether they're Black or white, it's just, I know some that it's all male. And I think we are working on changing, and if I have anything to do with it, we are going to change it. So what are your thoughts on that?
I agree, because as you know, I'm in many organizations, American Legion being one. And in my post, I think we have, well, at least that comes to meetings, about 6 women and probably 20 men that's there at the meeting. So that is very true. That's why I like my other organizations that are all women organizations, such as the NABMW, but we, also having a military sorority, all women military. So you're right about that.
Let me ask you
And
this. In addition to those kinds of organizations and VFOs and those kinds of things, when a female goes to the VA, retired, for treatment, are they treated equally as males? Are there a difference in regards to that?
I could see a great change since I retired in 2001, but I'll go back to 2001 to maybe past maybe 5 years. I could see a difference in the treatment. We're not taken seriously. And I remember clearly one day, I was with the psychiatrist and she told me, nothing's wrong with you. You don't look like anything wrong with you. Look how you dress. And I said, how I'm dressed? What does how I'm dressed have to do with how I feel? What the MRI show, what the X-ray show, what the blood test show, what does that have to do with anything? And she just so demanding with it till I just lost it on her. And everybody came running into the room. They don't treat us like we have any intelligence to know that we have a problem. And you're there to help me fix it instead of telling me how I look.
Was this at a woman's clinic or was this at a general type clinic in the VA?
This was at the VA at the downstairs in that basement in Atlanta in the psychiatry ward.
Okay, I got you. I understand. Well, I totally agree with you. And Herman knows I'm very nonsensical when it comes to the VA. I think those individuals need to be called up front and removed because they wouldn't have a job without us.
Right.
Unfortunately, we served our nation, and as a result of that, we have issues that we were told would be taken care of once we got out of the military. So we need to make them move from a VA rating of 1, which means they are not a very good facility, to a rating of 5. So, I'm glad to hear that you say that there are changes since you retired, but there's still a lot of work to do. What about prenatal care for females, that is retired? Does the VA provide prenatal care or those kinds of obstetrical type services for female veterans?
Well, I'm not in that category, but from what I hear, it is provided, but it's not easily provided. I think when and nothing against men, but when you deal with the men, they don't know how to relate to our body. So that's why I demanded a woman, GYN, to hopefully and prayerfully, know our bodies. So you shouldn't give me a hard time. But with men, when you have men doctors, it's a little hard to deal with them because they don't go through what we go through.
Okay.
So, yeah. But yeah, I hear you too.
So, but I guess the bottom line, you've seen an increase in that type of services at the VA for female veterans.
Yeah, if they go to the women's clinic, the women's GYN, only women doctor, I know that that's better provided for them. But again, when you're dealing with the men doctors, not trying to talk bad about the men, but they just don't understand our body. So
I
yeah,
totally understand.
Go to the women's.
Yeah, I totally understand.
I said it.
And we appreciate that posture because it is somewhat different. But
also, Anthony and myself has been doing this for, I guess, 7 years now. And one thing that when we first started, we noticed, for example, the number of backlogs and claims for disability claims, not only medical claims. But the key points that we talked about was the change of culture in accountability.
mm-hmm.
And I think it's changing slowly. And I think as far as responsibility and accountability, the VA is still in, as you said, they're not persistent, they're not consistent. And that's an issue that we as veterans are gonna have to keep pursuing.
Yeah, it is. I went to the ER the night before last. I got there at noon. and I left out of there at 3:15 a.m.
What?
And yes,
Wow.
3:15 a.m.
That's
And they said they were so
absolutely-
short-staffed with doctors and nurses. The ER was packed. I mean, it was packed to capacity. But still, yet I've been to the ER for my asthma before many times, and I've never went from noon to 3:15 a.m.
Wow, that's amazing.
And that's kind of leads into a nonpartisan subject, which is our people that we elect to represent us at state level, the federal level. We need to let them know that, and I let my representative know that, because it's I have a nonprofit that's 10 years old, and a lot of people have those issues because a lot of us are Vietnam era veterans. So we at the VA every day, and you're right. In the explanation is that there is a backlog of qualified physicians, medical people, in all of that. But if you in the emergency room, that doesn't solve your problem.
Not at all.
You know, I
And
believe
I went for asthma.
I'm sorry.
I said I went for asthma.
That's
an emergency in the.
Okay, are you still there?
Yeah, we're still here, so go ahead.
Yeah, there was one thing that has been on our minds, and we need to ask you directly about, is homelessness among female veterans. We can go back into the time of President Obama and Mrs. Obama's push that by the end of, I think it was 2017, they wanted to have a great reduction in homelessness among female veterans. Can you provide some update on that?
Yeah, so what I can say is, if you are 100% disabled, they will not provide any kind of assistance for you for the homeless situation. And which is very bad, because if I'm a veteran, I don't care if I'm 100% or 0%, you should give me some assistance with homelessness. But they say it's money driven. So if I'm 100%, they're not going to give me any assistance with homelessness. And I think that needs to change ASAP, because we have a lot of homeless women out there with their children, a lot of homeless families. So I think that needs to change ASAP.
Wow.
And also what I ran into recently is, even if you go through all of the not necessarily homeless, but people that need real assistance, that need housing assistance, period, you can still qualify, but the amount is not, when you get the total amount in a lot of the metro areas, the rent is so expensive, people still won't rent to you. So that's
right.
an issue that is big.
Right. I'm a realtor. I told you that from the beginning, and I get lots of calls from the VA trying to find housing for the homeless women and families, and the prices now are sky high. I mean, rent is really high everywhere in the country, but it's really hard. We don't have enough homes to house all the homeless people, be VA or non-VA. We just don't have enough homes on the market, and that's a problem too.
Do you feel as though that females that retire, let's say, for instance, you active duty 20 years, and hopefully not like knuckleheads like us, by not going to the clinic to get yourself checked out when we had an injury? That was not woo or whatever you want. So you would not go and be treated. But do you find that females, while they're in the military, make sure that they get themselves checked out for whatever, which on the back end would be very helpful for them if they file for benefits and compensation, because all that's documented in their records? Do you see female service people doing that, making sure that they're records are annotated with specific things?
Yes, I know that for a fact. And I know a lot of men that I served with, they didn't go to the doctor.
Knuckleheads.
Yeah, knuckleheads all the way. Okay, you said it. They would not go. And that hurt them once they retired and was trying to get the benefits of compensation. Then it's like, I have nothing in my records. So they had a struggle there. Whereas women, we're going to take care of our bodies because we know if we have a family, children, spouse or whatever, we have to take care of the family and work. The men, you work, you bring the money home too, but you just would not go see the doctor. Post-military, you won't go see the doctor and take care of yourself until it's almost too late.
Yeah, I totally agree. And for a male, it's somewhat different. And this is a true scenario. When I was a major XO of a field unit, and we're all in the woods. That's part of our job. We didn't know what a house and bed looked like. So we're in the woods quite a bit, and you've had injuries to occur. But there was this field officer, a 4-star general, by the way, that became ill. And he went to the hospital, and he told the commander, who was a full colonel, doctor, that he had this illness, but he wanted to be treated, but he didn't want any of that annotated in his records. And the doctor is telling me, because I was on his staff, is that the reason he didn't want it annotated because he thought he was going to get a bigger job coming out of a 4-star job. So the only other thing he got left is Joint Chief or something like that. But he wanted a bigger job. But he also told this colonel, when are you up for BG? And he said, oh, next year. He said, well, I think you understand my position. So it's bribery to a degree that you're not going to put that in my records. But, it's amazing. The military is just a snapshot of the world we live in. Just because we wear the uniform, there are many issues affecting females and male veterans and active duty that we see outside of the uniform. So some of the things you're talking about now are so paramount for our listeners to know. So what are you telling female veterans what they should do from your organization if there's an issue? Because that's why you have an organization, you're providing information.
Right. We want to be your resource to guide you to where you need to go for any issues that you may have. There's lots of organizations out here that's military oriented. However, the National Association of Black Military Women, we do focus on trying to be resourceful for your issues. We have to know about them. You have to contact us. And we have so many different programs that we're involved in the NABMW, like the Veterans Treatment Court. We have the nursing assisted living that we go to. And, there's different places that we go to. But the key thing right now, I was going to tell you about the Veterans Treatment Court that we have. It's a great program countywide in Georgia. However, women don't take advantage of it. They rather go to jail than to be free and be in an 18-month program. Men take advantage of it. Women just won't take advantage of it. And to me, you should be one of the main ones. You have family, children back out. Why wouldn't you want to be free and just do the 18-month program? It's a rigorous program. However, yes, you're free and not behind bars. We don't have any women in the Clayton County VTC program.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Herman and I have been involved with that quite a bit. As a matter of fact, he knows one judge particularly well, and they've been a guest on our show. I'm surprised to hear you say, though, that females don't take advantage of this program, because I agree with you. This is a program that could really provide some help for if they have an abuse problem or a psychological problem, PTSD problem, whatever it is. I'm just surprised to hear that they're not taking advantage of it.
Yeah,
they won't.
The veteran treatment programs, they're really great. Anthony and myself have talked about them a lot on our program because it is an opportunity in Clayton County. One of the guys in my organization is a mentor, and he's been doing it for about 3 years. It's great. Let me ask you about Trent. transition out of service into civilian life, do you, from the time that you did it to today, do you think the process has improved in helping veteran transition from the military to civilian life?
Well, from my standpoint, I would say yes, because I was stationed at Fort Sill, Oklahoma when I retired, and we were the prototype post that we knew 1 year in advance what our disability compensation was going to be. So I knew 1 year in advance, and as soon as I retired, that next month, my check was there in my bank. So it was an easy transition financially, and that finances always make your life easy. So I don't know if it has, if it's still going on. I don't know that, but I know for me in 2001, in 2000, because I retired in 2001. So 2000, I knew what my compensation was going to be, and I got my pay immediately next month.
That is great. I hope it's still going on.
Me too.
What about helping a veteran prepare resumes and prepare for interviews and things of that nature? How you feel about that?
Well, they did have that too. That's part of your out processing. You start that maybe 6 months in advance. So they have different programs to prepare you for civilian life, like you said, the resumes and how to dress for success, and how to seek a job and things of that nature. But still, it's what you have in you, what you taught when you were in the military, your leadership skills, your MOS, your branch. What was it that you did? Because now you have to take that into the civilian sector. Now, there are lots of jobs. There were, at least back then, definitely lots of jobs available. However, there's so many people competing for the jobs, you may have to take something a little bit lower grades and build yourself up. But they did have programs for you when you're out processing.
Yeah, I think that processing part is key and essential. You've been retired now 20 years. I'm going on 25, 26 years. And we continue to see, evolving changes in that. Herman and I have always talked about, in the military, there's esprit de corps, there's, everything. But outside here, it's a different world. So I think those transitional stations are, as I call it, key and essential to help someone like you, Herman, and I make that transition into the different form of life, because it's not going to be that cohortness that we had in the military. It's not going to be that stay on the job till the job is done, or let's complete the mission. Let's stay focusing on tasks. It's a different world. So that's why we try to encourage and provide as much information as possible to veterans on this show, to let them know that, transitions will occur, but these are things you need to keep in mind to make that transition work for you.
Right. You have to prepare while you're still in.
Correct.
That's key.
You got to prepare. You know what I mean? That kind of deal. So one other aspect that I would like to ask, do you inform your members that they should really do as much research as possible under va.gov or others if they're taking a look? And the reason I mention that, I'm a legally blind disabled veteran. I received a phone call 1 hour before the show from a young woman that heard about my nonprofit, Visually Impaired Veterans of America. She thought I was a VA. When she called, I said, no, ma'am, I'm not the VA. But she said, well, I'm blind. And I noticed on your website and your Facebook page that you're blind too, but I don't know what to do. So my thing is that we have to continue to inform and educate as much as possible. So I directed her to va.gov and a few other phone numbers and things that she needed to do. But one thing I found out in most cases, some veterans are not even registered at the VA to get the process started. And they need to understand that just because you're a veteran, walk through the door, that doesn't mean that you're going to get help right away unless you go through the 1, 2, 3, 4 steps. Now, does your organization provide that type of information?
Yeah, we're a resource for that to guide them as to what they need to do. Because I know about 3 years ago, I had a friend that I was just speaking to one day that had retired about 2 years prior to me, which meant was like 1999. And when I was speaking to her, I was like, so when did you go to the VA? Because she was talking about how she was sick. She said, I don't ever go to the VA. I said, why not? She said, it's never gone. I said, well, did you ever go there to register? She said, no. And I'm like, what? By this time, she had about 17 years retired and had never gone to the VA. So I told her what to do. Go up there, and register and everything. But yeah, people don't do it. I don't know why. They're scared of the doctor.
Yeah. So, matter of fact, I told her my story, my trials, and I'm in the NH category, knucklehead category, where I did not do certain things what I should have done, and while I was on active duty, unbeknownst to me, my vision was drastically reducing. And when I got out, it took me still 10 years to go. I'm just telling you the truth of that. I don't know if it was a fear factor, unknown fact, whatever it is that caused me not to go. But now in this position where Herman and I are, we're such an advocate because we realize the system is there for us and for you. And if you utilize it properly, it will take care of you and your family. So, getting yourself registered at the VA is very important. And then following the steps that's going to lead to you to get your benefits and compensations. And I told her this morning, if you had these vision issues while you're on active duty, that's a clear case for a service connection.
Right.
But she had no idea what I was talking about.
Well, that is true. In some situations, you found that people, they didn't go to the VA because they had other options. They had private insurance. They might have been working for after they get out, they went to work for someone, a company in America that had benefits. So they just kind of put it off. Actually, I didn't. I did when I didn't retire. I spent 4 years in the Air Force and got out and ended up working for AT&T. But I did the very next day after I got out, I did go to the VA and get in the system. But I didn't use it very much until I got hit with heart disease and Agent Orange and all that stuff. But I was already in the system. And when you're not in the system, it takes time to get in the system. I've had just this year, I've had I don't know how many calls, and the person said, I just want to get an ID so I can prove that I'm a veteran at Home Depot or wherever. And you have to go to the VA and start with your Social Security number, and you eventually gonna need a copy of this famous DD-214. So it's a process to get in the system. And in the case of an emergency, it's really serious.
Yes. That's why it's important to do it immediately. Do everything immediately. Don't hesitate. Don't wait.
Correct. Don't wait. I mean, we cannot procrastinate on that at all. Don't wait, because life's short.
Very.
I mean, it's short. And just
And time goes by fast.
Very short, very fast. And the number of veterans that Herman and I know and see, and he sees them more than me because of his organization, that are really hurting and don't know where to go and how to get it done. So that's why we try to do our thing to help them out.
But that really is critical. You hurt and you're in a emergency situation, but you find out, and like you say, I got a call before we got on the air. And you start making calls and inquiring, and not only are you dealing with all the backlogs, but the person is not in the system, and that makes it more difficult.
Yep. That's why you got to get that number. You got to go and get yourself registered and logged in, and it's just too simple, really.
Really is.
I met a veteran who was a Korean War veteran, I was a speaker at the VA hospital for Veterans Day, and his daughter brought him in. He's in a wheelchair, close to 90. Maybe he was 90. Never went to the VA since the Korean War.
Oh, wow.
And he had all kinds of health issues. So as a result of him being in the VA and in that environment, and of course, I'm talking about these VSOs and things that they should do, he immediately went up front, got registered, got into the system. Several months later, started receiving compensations. Just think how many millions of dollars in treatments that he missed for something that he earned. It wasn't given to him, something that he earned. So we speak truth into the community. We got to have the Miss Cottons of the world to be on our show to let listeners know that there is a proper avenue to follow. Just follow the steps.
One-stop shop. Just that's what we need, a one-stop shop so you can know all the steps that you need to take the minute before you even leave the military. You know, there's steps you need to take beforehand. And always go to the doctor when you're having an issue. Don't be a malingerer. Now, I'm not saying go there, you know, and just specifically go just to have off, but go when you really have a problem. So it could be noted in your record, and therefore you could be able to get the disability compensation when you get out.
Yeah, I think what my organization does and what we all do is if someone comes and they are not in the system, we have information that we provide to them to how to get started, and we encourage them to do that. And also is va.gov is really a pretty friendly website, and you can get started there pretty easily too.
Yeah, you can, but a lot of people aren't computer savvy as well too. So, you know, I just tell them the address as well. If you could do the computer, fine, but I just tell them where to go to Claremont, and if they're in Georgia, that is, or
Correct.
if in Atlanta.
Yeah. And there are a lot of veteran service centers around the state of Georgia that could help and assist. If you're in a rural part of Georgia, in a different city other than Atlanta, you know, there are VA hospitals in Dublin, Georgia, in Augusta, Georgia, Columbia, South Carolina, Atlanta, Georgia. So there are places around, and there are a lot of those service centers that could assist you in that process. But nothing will work if that person doesn't take the first step.
Right.
That's true. And as you guys know, all states have Department of Veteran Services. Georgia has the Department of Veteran Services, and some states are better than others, but that's a good starting point also, because the Georgia Department of Veteran Services has, as Anthony says, quite a few offices in rural area. I think they have about 13 offices in Metro
Correct.
Atlanta.
Yeah, correct. Ms. Cotten, you got two Army, you got an Army and Air Force guys, so we're coming from a male perspective. But tell us what questions we're not asking, or what comments can you make that we're not talking about, so our female veterans would know what your organization is about to help them and to inform our listeners worldwide.
Okay. Well, I do want to say that when people don't know what they don't know, they don't know. So we have to get out into the community and let people know what they need to know. That's first of all, because they don't know where to go. They don't know who to ask. But we need to get out there and get the word out to them. That's number one. Number two, my organization, National Association of Black Military Women, what we're about is telling our story. We as women, especially women of color, have been left out of history. We are not in the history books at all. So our mission is to tell our story. So we need all the women to come and tell us your story so it could be historical, and people will know our story, that we do exist and did exist in the military. We have great women that were trailblazers that led the way for women just like myself in the military. But we need the stories, because if the storybooks are not there, when you go to the schools, you don't see anything about, a lot of students don't even know women were in the military. When we go to the schools, they're like, "You're in the Army?" Like, Yes, I was in the Army. They don't know. We were left out of history. So we want to get stories told.
So
That's what I mean.
could you tell our listeners how to reach your organizations, like, your address, phone number, email, account, whatever? Can you let our listeners know that?
You could go to NABMW, that's NABMW.org. That would be the website. And I'll give you my email address. It is president@NABMWATL.org. Sorry. Did you get that?
Yes. Can you repeat it again, please?
Okay. President@NABMWATL.org. That's my email address. I'll give you my phone number.
Yes, please give a phone number also.
Okay, 404-328-6572. Again, 404-328-6572.
Do you have a website or Facebook or any other social media that they could take a look at?
You could go to NABMW and you could find the Atlanta Metro chapter for the chapter, but if you want to just go to the national NABMW.
You have a Facebook page?
That would be it.
That would be it. Okay. All right. Okay. So how large is your organization? Are you throughout the state of Georgia or mainly concentrated in Atlanta?
Throughout the country.
Oh.
Yeah,
Country.
throughout the country. Yeah, we have chapters. Right now we have chapters in Georgia, Brooklyn, New York, New York, Washington, D.C., the Virginia area, Texas, California, and we're about to open up a chapter in Texas and Chicago.
Fantastic. That's actually fantastic. That's fantastic.
For example, for the Metro Atlanta chapter, do you guys meet via Zoom or you meet in person? How you do that?
Right now, effective October 31st, we're meeting via Zoom. We no longer have a location, brick and mortar. We are looking for a brick and mortar as we speak. So right now we do meet on the third Sunday at 3 p.m. via Zoom. So if people contact me or email me, I could always send a link out for Zoom for the third Sunday at 3 p.m.
So for a typical meeting, do you highlight specific areas, or is it more, here we are, ask questions, and then you respond? How does that format work?
We do have an agenda, and then it's open up, at the end for any questions that you may have. And then we like to have meet and greets as well. So we're looking for another brick and mortar, so we can do those kind of things in person. But it's coming. We're going to find some brick and mortar.
So if someone were to come online to your Zoom call, a Zoom meeting, you'll be able to provide them information on veteran courts or how to traverse the VA system, women's health clinic. You'll be able to provide them that information on that call.
If they ask the question, yes, no problem.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right, Herman, what other questions you got for her? I think she's doing great.
Well, I know she's doing great. What other question is, because I'm interested in getting, well, as all you know, all veteran organization is the attendance is a problem. If you deal with the American Legion, DAV, their attendance is in their involvement is the issue. My organization is my attendance and getting people involved is the issue. So what I don't have a answer to this statement, but I'm interested in getting more veterans involved period, in organization, whichever organization that is in your lane. I like to use that word. So I'm what I do is we meet, and what I talked about and what I'm planning to do is have a discussion with some other veteran organization about doing projects as a team, as a collaborative. So that's how I see we can improve the number one, the participation of veterans, and by increasing the participation of veterans in all our organizations, that give us the resources to help more veterans.
Right. Partnership. I agree. We need to partner.
Partnership is very important. I mean, your organization and an organization like Herman's, Veteran Helping Veterans, I can see the connection there. He has female members and male members in his organization. Most come from the Vietnam era, but there are others involved too. So I can see a partnership there, because the bottom line is sharing of information, which is the keystone for both organizations to help them. We generally have a couple of very knowledgeable VSOs on, Pastor McGee or Morocco Coleman, those men that have gone through different kinds of scenarios to assist veterans with getting into the right lane. And now that we know about you, Ms. Cotten, you can add to that mixture too, put a little class with those guys, and we could, provide the most important thing, is that's information.
That's what we need to get out, the information. And however we need to do it, we're willing to do it. Partnership is definitely key, I feel. And I told you I'm a member of other military organizations, female only. So I think we all collaborate. We could get the word out there to the people who need our assistance and they need our resources.
Well, I've had several people tell me in the other organization is people are beginning to realize that an underused source of veterans in the predominantly male organization is we don't have enough female veterans involved in our organization.
Yeah, that's true. It's really true. We have a lot of people that may be on the rolls, but they don't participate. And why would you join something if you're not going to participate? I'm not saying you have to give 100% all the time, but show up sometime and do something. You join voluntarily. So yeah, we do have a shortage of women in organizations like the American Legion, and some of the other ones that I'm in. But we got to make an improvement there. We got to do something.
Well, that's my goal. And another thing you said is I get in trouble sometimes, but we need, if you join the organization and if you are in the position, we need you to help us out. We need you to put some skin in the game at whatever level you can do it. I know you can. I don't like trying to force or browbeat people to do anything. It's
Right.
just we're volunteering.
Right. You don't have to be in a leadership role. The membership role is great.
That's a hot button. Some
Right.
people think if they're not, then they're not. Well, I won't go there.
Yeah, you don't have to be in a leadership role. Just do.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Just do. The bottom line is just do. Just do as what's the actor's name? Denzel Washington in the famous movie when he makes that one phrase, just do something.
Yeah, exactly. Do something.
Do something versus just being stagnant and
Right.
expect to get something when you don't put anything into it. And that's
Right.
that's the point that I'm trying to get over to people that I speak to, particularly the lady this morning that called who is blind and had been blind for years, but she expected something to happen when she didn't do anything. So
Right.
even if you're visually impaired, you have family members, friends, or associates that can provide you the assistance that you need to get it done. I've been in this scenario since 2010. I had to go through it to get to it to understand that it's not going to improve. So
Right.
how am I going to adapt with it? I'm going to have to adapt with it to exist and to live and not let it take me down, because that was my choice to serve. These things happened. I was promised to be taken care of. Now I'm just holding you accountable for that promise.
Right.
It's simple.
And you
Right.
being the VA, we like to emphasize we have earned these benefits.
Correct.
Nobody is giving us anything. So,
Not giving you
Ms. Cotton, we're running out of time. You have your final advice you would like to give us?
Well, regarding the National Association of Black Military Women, I want to repeat that we need to get our stories told and put into history. Our mission statement is to seek out, record, maintain, and tell the history and heritage of African American military women who served and are serving in the United States Armed Forces. That is our mission. We need to tell her story. So please, please, please contact me so we can hear your stories, record them, and get them historically, you know, get them saved historically.
That's good, because just want to let you know that since you've blessed us with your presence on our show today and given us some great information, you can tell your other members and friends, associates, that they'll be able to see this on YouTube by just going into WCEG Network and finding Veterans Today, and they'll be able to hear what we've discussed today, which I think is extremely important for individuals who have missed it to be able to still get the information from seeing your show in another format.
Okay, I will definitely get the word out. And to my military sorority, Alpha Delta Omega Military Sorority Incorporated, all women, I'll make sure they get the word and try and get out there and collaborate in partnership, like with
Please,
Mr. Anderson.
I'm gonna do a little James Brown right now. Please, please, please tell them to go on and like our page.
I will definitely tell. I have a lot of organizations.
Yeah, I mean, we always give kudos to Ms. Rogers for starting us out with this little mustard seed. And here we are now, an organization that's ranked very high in other organizations, in this radio network over a 7-year period. And we have other outstanding show hosts doing great things in our community, because the bottom line from her from the beginning, let's speak truth into the community. So working with Herman has been a joy for the past 7 years. Having Ms. Greer as our engineer has just been tremendous, because she keeps us on task. And having individuals like you who can provide tremendous information to our listeners worldwide is just tremendous. So I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're
And
welcome.
I want to echo that. And I also would like to say, WCEG Network has a lot of programs, and we're adding as we go. So just go to our website, WCEG Radio or WCEG Talk Radio, and all of the different programs that and leaders that are on the air, you can see those there. And particularly for our program, working with Anthony, number one, we're a frat brother, but we're veterans, and a lot of our guests are veterans. So like today, we got 3 veterans, and our producer, Vivian, is a veteran. So it's an enjoy. I enjoy it. So thank you.
And one thing, when you go to the site, let your members know that yeah, there's Veterans Today Talk Radio, but under the WCEG network, there are many other great shows that could be of benefits to your members, in addition to veteran issues. So I think you should be part of the family and let your listeners know that the network has a whole lot of informational materials that can assist them in their daily lives. So, you know, two knuckleheads here, we think we're the number one, but hey, there are a lot of number ones under this network. So please share the word.
I will.
We're here to empower the community, and we have done a great job this past hour. So our time is running out. Anthony, did you give your shout out to Ms. Rogers?
No, I got to give him a shout out to, thank you, ma'am. I just want to say I know you're in Oklahoma doing your thing with another organization, but you took the time to be with us today, and that shows me a lot. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you again. Our listeners appreciate you taking the time. And Herman, that's it for me.
That is it, and thank you very much. And our WCEG Network Veterans Day program is coming to a close.
Thank you very
Everyone
much.
have a good weekend.
Thank you. And you both my frat brothers too. Brother Singer Tatum.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm blessed and honored. Have a great day.
Okay, thank you too, ma'am. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.